O'Brien, attorney at law, future full of promise. Until a medical examination reveals he has only a short time to live. Precious time. Time to be used. Time to crowd 30 years of living into 1 or 2.
Yes, miss?
Hello? Mr. Haynes?
This is Jerry Haynes. You're on the air. What's on your mind?
Oh, Mr. Haynes, I'd like to voice a protest over sex in movies.
Too little or too much?
I didn't get that.
Do you think there's too little sex in movies or too much?
Too much, of course. The other night, I took my son to see an Italian movie, and I was shocked out of my mind. All those naked women.
How old is your son?
It was about a photographer.
I repeat, how old is your son?
8, going on 9.
What does he want to do when he grows up?
Well, he wants...
I'll bet he wants to be a censor, just like Mommy.
What?
You heard me. Or maybe you've got a tennis shoe stuck in your ear.
I don't see what that's got to do with it.
Yeah, well, I'd like to keep this brilliant conversation going all night, but the news staff is elbowing its way into the studio, and I'm getting tired. It's been a pleasure. I hated to do that. It was a toll call. Mrs. Dracula calling all the way from Transylvania.
For now, we're running out of time. So good night, everybody. And remember, if you can't wait for the next full moon, just tune in right here tomorrow night. Same time, same station. Good night.
Morning, Mr. Bryan.
What's so good about 3:30 in the morning?
You're right. Timing could be a little bit better.
Look, is this an official visit?
Well, Lieutenant Decker would like to see you. He's at San Francisco General.
Oh, wait a minute. Who's Lieutenant Decker and what's this all about?
Well, I'm sorry I can't tell you that, but I can tell you that it's important, and the lieutenant would like to see you now.
please report to the third floor desk. Duty intern, please report to the third floor desk.
I'm Lieutenant Decker, Metropolitan Division. Thanks, Don. Go over there and get yourself some hot coffee at the nurse's desk.
Look, Lieutenant, I know this is important. San Francisco Police Department just blew a few hours sleep for me.
What's a few hours sleep when you measure it against an attempted murder? At approximately 2:30 this morning, a person or persons unknown fired 2.38 caliber bullets into Jerry Haynes. Surprised?
No, are you?
This job comes with built-in immunity. No surprises allowed. Haynes has been asking for you ever since they wheeled him in from the ambulance.
Now ask me if I'm surprised. No, I did not shoot him, if that's what you're thinking.
He won't answer any questions, and he won't make an official statement.
Duty intern, report.
I keep asking who shot him, and he keeps saying he has to talk to you first.
Please report to the West Pavilion.
Any idea why?
No, but wouldn't it be simpler if I just asked him?
Duty intern, please report to Ward C.
How is he?
Well, he's not pleasant. But he's not dead either. In fact, well, he ought to be off the critical list tomorrow.
Is it all right if we talk to him now?
Oh, I'm sorry, Lieutenant. Thought it best to give him a sedative. He'll be out 6-8 hours.
Thanks a lot, Doc.
Anytime, Lieutenant.
Case like this gets cold awfully fast. I can't wait 6 hours. I want you to make a statement right now.
That sounds official.
I've had a few men checking around for the last hour or so. If I had to go strictly by the book, you're suspect number one.
Duty intern,
It is official.
report to Ward C.
Yeah, I guess it is.
The following statement is being made by Lieutenant Herbert Decker, Detective Ronald Chapman, and SFPD stenographer Arnold Foster in attendance.
I, Paul Bryan, am making this statement of my own free will. I'm fully aware that anything I say may be used against me, and I've been duly advised as to both my rights of counsel and of remaining silent. I arrived in San Francisco on yesterday's noon polar flight from Copenhagen. One of my former law partners drove me in from the airport and told me something about an old friend of mine that sent me out to see him.
Paul!
Hello, Judge.
Come in. Come in. Let me take a look at you. Yes, travel certainly agrees with you. How long you been home?
Just a couple of hours. Matter of fact, I'm still on Copenhagen time.
Well, this is certainly a pleasant surprise. Come on. I'll break out a bottle of that special sipping bourbon.
Oh, that'll be great, Judge.
Now, no more of this judge stuff. It's simple Tolly Wilson from now on, especially to old friends. Let me have your coat.
Oh, thank you.
Yes, the drink. I am honored. Here you are just back in town for a few hours. You rush over to see the gray fox. What have you been up to in Europe?
Oh, traveling a lot, seeing all the things I've always wanted to see, doing all the things I've always wanted to do.
Paul, I envy you. That's what everyone should do while he's still young enough to enjoy it. Tell me, those girls on the Riviera, are they all just...
Yes,
just
they
as,
are.
And on the beaches, do they all wear those...
Yes, they do.
To be 60 again. By the way, here's a little required reading for all those smart young attorneys that think they know more law than they really do.
Yes, I've read it. It's a fine book. Fine book. As a matter of fact, it's one of the reasons I'm here.
Really?
I'm told you're going on the Jerry Haynes show tonight to help publicize it.
So you come riding to the rescue like the cavalry.
The Haynes show's a throwback all the way to the Roman Colosseum circuit, with the lions as the main act.
Paul, I appreciate your concern, but I'm not living in an ivory tower here. There's a TV set over there, and I've watched the show. I must say it's quite fantastic. The other night, there was a man on who said he was a flying saucer pilot all the way from the planet Uranus.
That's all window dressing, you know that. The weirdos set the stage, then Haynes gets a well-known, highly respected guest like you and rips them apart on camera.
He doesn't attack all his guests. I've seen him be very charming with a lot of people. And besides, I have checked around. I've found out one very important fact. Jerry Haynes has read my book and he likes it.
Well, don't you think he knew you'd ask around? He made certain that you'd hear exactly what you wanted to hear.
Paul, I have handled some dishonest, untrustworthy people in and out of court. If I didn't think I could handle any tricks he might try, I wouldn't go near that studio
It's not just
tonight.
tricks. It's Haynes' whole style. Lies, half-truths, innuendos, scandal.
Paul, I know what Jerry Haynes is. I also know he has a nationwide audience. And I don't think I need to remind you that Superior Court judges don't make as much money as, say, teenage rock and roll singers. I need that book to be a bestseller. Now, do I enter the lion's den alone or with company?
With company.
Good.
How come all the other talk shows get run-of-the-mill coconuts and I get all the hardcore cases just one step from the funny farm?
Hey, you out there in TV land. It's been a rough day, so please, no more calls from kooks. And no more little old ladies. Positively no more little old ladies.
Now, who'd like to step into the hot box and tell it like it is?
Hello. My name is Arlene Walensky,
Sorry, I can't do anything about that.
and I'm from Alameda County.
Can't do anything about that either.
Well, what I'd like to talk about, Jerry, is Vietnam.
Oh, now, wait a minute, honey. What do you know about Vietnam?
Well, I know we've been committed
Tell me,
for...
where is Vietnam?
Where? Why, it's in Asia.
Good. Real good. Where in Asia? Everybody's shooting their mouths off and nobody knowing what they're talking about.
All people like you know about Asia is what Chinese restaurant serves the best egg foo young.
And even then, you have to be told all over again an hour later. Let one of you learn how to use a pair of chopsticks. Right away, you want to phone up Shanghai Sheik and tell them how to get back to the mainland.
Let's see now. Take the Formosa Freeway past Shanghai and make a left turn at Peking. Probably can't wait to tell them that Red China doesn't go with an orange tablecloth.
If you can't get them on the phone, you go running around trying to find the nearest free microphone so you can shoot your mouths off and show everybody how bright you are.
Oh, Judge Wilson. Hello. I'm Jennifer Hale, the great one's
Few
secretary.
intelligent
Hello,
ideas.
Miss Hale. This is Paul Bryan.
So people who know what they're
Hello.
talking about.
Friend of the family?
Is this where the mugging takes place?
I guess that's
Oh, welcome aboard, Mr. Bryan. You're going to be fun to have around.
I'd like to talk to Mr. Haynes before
how
the
much
judge
college
goes
do you
on,
have?
set up some ground rules.
You're
Oh,
not-
I'm sorry, but he's on the air live and in living color. It's hardly the place to discuss the rules of the
Cousin
road.
Sidney went to
Won't
Harvard.
you sit down, Judge Wilson?
Thank you. There must be some breaks for commercials.
Oh, doesn't. But Jerry won't talk to anyone during them. He says it breaks his train of thought.
He'll talk to me.
Are you a friend of his?
The great one ever have any friends? Let's put it this way. I'm an old enemy. He'll speak to me.
I'm sorry. I'm just a poor working girl with orders. There's nothing to worry about. He's read the book and he loved it. And besides, he's always been a big fan of detectives.
Paul, this charming young woman is quite right. You know, there's nothing really to worry about.
Don't work
Oops,
a day
it's
in your
time.
life and
Fred.
stay forever young.
Would you please do me a favor and see that Mr. Bryan gets a seat in the studio audience? And you come with me, Judge. We'll get you on right after the next commercial.
You know me, I tell it like it is. And you're why the world's falling to pieces. All the good people who never take the trouble to get their information straight before they start to sound off with all their half-baked ideas.
I hardly think my ideas are half-baked.
Look, honey, it's not just you. You're a real nice woman, I can see that. I bet you've got a real regular guy kind of husband at home. And if the statistics are right, you probably got 2.5 kids and a dog that answers to the name of Rover or something. But it's not enough just to be nice anymore. It's a tough world out there. You've got to know what's shaking if you're going to survive. So I'd suggest you go out and buy a couple of newspapers, maybe even a high school geography book. At least find out where a place is before you start to come out as a specialist, okay? We've got to pay the rent, so let's run a few commercials.
All right, Judge, you're on. Watch yourself in the clinches.
Welcome, Judge. Nice to see you. Nice, great. Nice to be here. Sir.
This may come in handy, Judge, for later, huh?
Thank you.
Welcome back to Alice in Weirdland. I've been thinking, and I've come to the conclusion that maybe some of you out there know a few words of more than one or two syllables. So I've decided, for those of you who can read without actually saying the words out loud, that I'd like to recommend a book to you. It was written by this fine gentleman sitting next to me, a man whose name is known and respected in every courtroom in this country. First as a famous trial attorney, and then later as one of our finest judges. The gray fox of the criminal courts, Judge Tulliver Wilson. Judge, it's an honor to have you with us.
Thank you. It's a great pleasure to be here. If I really were a gray fox, I'd quit while I'm still ahead. I never could live up to that introduction.
Well, you know me. I just tell it like it is. And I really love this book. I don't think anyone should even try to cross the street unless he's read it at least twice.
You are very kind. And you have hit upon the real reason I've written it. Modern day law is so very complex. Every citizen owes it to himself to know its many ramifications.
Oh, yes, all that legal stuff is great, but I guess I'm just a ham and eggs guy at heart. You know what I really missed in your book? All that behind-the-scenes stuff. That's what I missed. You were right in the middle of all the big ones. You could really tell it like it is with all those murderers.
Murderers? Only 2 of my cases. Out of over 100 capital cases, only 2 of my clients were declared guilty. And in one of those cases, the defendant later on was adjudged legally insane by a court of appeals.
Well, that really makes it only 1 out of 100. Not a bad batting average, huh?
And that case was clearly a tragic miscarriage of justice. I've told all the facts in my book.
That would be the Fryman case, right?
Right.
How come they always name the cases after the murderers, not the victims?
Billy Fryman was not a murderer.
Oh, I'm sorry, Judge. I guess I'm remembering it all wrong. Oh, no, wait a minute. Here it is. It says right here on page 173 of your book. And it only took the jury 3 hours to return a verdict of guilty against William Fryman. I was only a police beat reporter then, but I remember the Fryman case well. It was the gray fox at his best. You had them all twisted in knots. I thought you'd won. Going away. What happened?
I don't know. To this very day, I do not know. But as I have said in my book, it's a very complex case. So many nuances. I think the jury just did not understand.
Yes, I noticed you said that. In fact, you said a great deal about that case. Went on and on for 3 chapters. Why do you feel so bad about losing just one case?
I am still convinced that the killing was accidental. Maybe manslaughter, but certainly not murder.
Maybe you should have said that clearly in your summation to the jury.
I did.
Maybe you think you did, but just this morning I read a transcript of the trial. And you know something? You really blew that case. Your summation doesn't even make any sense. No wonder they dropped the Fryman kid into the gas chamber.
Look, you seem to be implying...
I'm not implying anything. I just tell it like it is. You were drunk the night before you blew that case. You could barely stand on your feet the next day when you gave that jury summation. And poor Billy Fryman had to hold his breath and count to 10 while they dropped the pellets.
You can't be serious.
Mr. Hayes! Mr. Hayes, you remember me. I'm Paul Bryan.
Oh, sure. Hello. I don't know how to tell you this, Paul, but we're on the air now. You're interrupting a coast-to-coast television show.
Yeah, well, I was Judge Wilson's assistant during the Fryman case, and no one was drunk the night before the summation or any time during that trial.
That's true. Mr. Bryan once worked very closely with the good gray judge. In fact, you're much too close a friend to be very objective about it all, right?
Wrong. No one was drunk.
Good try, Paul, and very commendable, coming to the defense of an old friend and all that, but you've come to the wrong place to do welfare work. On this show, we just tell it like it is.
You're a liar.
I'm surprised at you, Paul. You're too good a lawyer to yell liar like that. Unless you're trying to build a smokescreen for Judge Wilson to hide behind.
The moment's over. The camera's not on you any longer, and the mic's been blown. Now, please be a good boy and sit down, would you please?
Mr. Haynes, you are a liar and a disgrace. That you have the use of the public airwaves is completely abhorrent.
That must be the first thing you legal brains learn in law school. When the egg hits you smack in the face, just start hollering liar. Liar, huh? Here is an affidavit signed by 6 distinguished members of the law club stating that on the night in question, Judge Wilson was boozing it up until the early hours of the a.m. Care to take a look at it, Judge?
These are vague recollections of a night years ago. No one can swear whether it was whiskey or milk that was being served.
Well, what was it, Judge? Whiskey or milk?
Well, I may have had a drink or 2. It doesn't prove I was drunk.
Yes, sure, Judge. You ready for exhibit number 2?
But we still haven't...
Exhibit number 2. Hey, come in for a closer shot of this. You know what this is. It's a traffic ticket. You've all got one sometime or another, only this one's kind of special. It was issued to one Tulliver Wilson later that same night after he'd lapped up all that booze at the club. You know what it's for? Drunk driving, that's what.
May I have a look at that? This says nothing about drunk driving. The ticket is merely for unsafe lane changing.
3 times in one city block? Hey, all you drunk drivers out there. The last time you were weaving through traffic at 3 in the morning, what were you drinking? Cherry soda?
All right, Judge. You just sit there quietly and try to think of an answer. Oh, don't worry. He'll think of something to say one of these days.
Quite a finish.
Yeah, great. But what do you do to top it tomorrow night?
Oh, I don't know. Maybe we could arrange a suicide right on stage.
Wasn't that the greatest finish ever? I thought Brian was going to turn purple when I cut him off and went for Wilson's jugular vein. Hey, are you rooting for the home team or not?
You just keep those salary checks coming, and I'm still the head cheerleader.
That's what I like, true dedication. I know why I keep you around anyway. You can't even type.
Oh, you need somebody like me, Jerry. I'm the only one who's not that much impressed with you. Now, sometimes you like that, and sometimes you don't. You know, you're not really sure yet whether you're a sadist or a masochist.
Somehow I get the feeling that all the romance has gone out of our romance.
Romance? Remember me? I was just hired as a secretary. Everything else is fringe benefits.
Hello, Paul.
Hello, Jerry.
You, care to join us for dinner?
No, thanks. I'm not hungry, but I will have a drink.
Good. Waiter?
Scotch on the rocks.
You were great on the show tonight. You gave it just the perfect touch of righteous indignation, and then pow, you get it right between the eyes. I'm glad you're not sore.
So, not a chance. As a matter of fact, I made a search of about half a dozen restaurants looking for you, just to do you a favor.
Oh, now favors get me nervous. How much is it going to cost me?
Well, it's not going to cost you a thing, because I'm going to let you go on the air tomorrow night and make a nice, pleasant retraction.
Paul, I'm surprised at you. You know you don't have to make a retraction unless you're wrong.
Well, you are wrong. You're wrong about Judge Wilson. He wasn't drunk that night.
How do I know that?
I know, and I told you. That's how you know it.
Paul, I hate to say this when you're sitting here drinking my booze, but your word's just not good enough for me.
It's the truth. The truth was never very important to you, was it, Jerry?
Go ahead, blast away all you want. I got it made.
It's your last chance, Jerry. Either you make that retraction or I represent Judge Wilson tomorrow in a slander suit against you for... How many stations has he had, fool?
106. 8 more coming on.
Quite a lineup. I'm very impressed.
Thank you.
Well, let's keep it in round figures. Let's say about $5 million.
You've got style, Paul. That's what I've always liked about you. Even in the old days when you were trying to have me thrown out of the courthouse building every other day.
Nothing personal, Jerry. You just clashed with the decor. You know those words they have chiseled in marble above the entrance? Like justice, truth, virtue?
But everything's all different now. Nobody throws me out of anywhere. And millions of people all across this country who hang on my every word. If I tell them the moon is made of cheese, all they say is Swiss or Roquefort. Right, honey?
Yes, I guess it is.
But no matter how you cut it, it's still cheese. You want to talk about success, you have to talk about a man like Judge Wilson.
The good gray judge has no kicks coming. Do you realize how many books he's going to sell off of his appearance with me tonight?
You know better than that. Book sales don't mean anything anymore, not after tonight. To a man the judge's age, his reputation is the most precious thing he owns. That's why you've got to make that retraction.
I told you I don't make retractions. You think I got a slander suit against me? Go ahead and file. I got a cleaning woman working for me. After she empties all the waste paper baskets and mops up the floors, I can have her answer all the slander suits against me. She might get a kick out of it, huh? You know you haven't got a chance with a slander suit against me. How many suits have been filed against me since I've been on the air?
23.
And how many cases have been won against me?
None.
Who said anything about winning? We played in your ballpark tonight. But I'm going to get you in court, and that's my arena. We may not win the case, Jerry, but I'm going to get you on the stand and take you apart with the newspapers, getting every bit and loving it. And all those millions of viewers hanging on your every word.
I'm going to show them what a clown you really are.
What up? What is the trouble?
No trouble. Mr. Haynes just fell on his face.
about it, Jerry. You do it my way, or I'm going to take you apart, little piece by little piece. Then I took a slow walk back to my hotel to cool off. Tossed and turned for an hour or so, and finally fell asleep. Next thing I knew, Chapman was knocking on my door.
The usual 3 transcripts?
Yeah. Bring him back here as soon as they're ready.
Right.
You need me for anything more?
No. Go get some sleep.
Thanks, I need it.
They're through with me now.
Haynes really had you pretty hot.
Yeah, well, he has a talent for it.
How was Judge Wilson after the show?
Beaten, shattered, destroyed, pick your own description. I took him home, saw that he settled down with a sedative, and put him to bed.
Well, I guess he's gotten enough sleep now. I'll have to get statements from everyone.
May I come in, Paul?
Judge Wilson, come in, come in. I thought you'd still be sleeping off that sedative I gave you.
Paul, I need your help. I'm so confused, I don't know what to do.
Here, sit down. I'll get you a drink.
Whiskey or milk?
And then I'm going to get you home and put you to bed.
Paul, you were there all the time during that trial. You know I wasn't drunk. I was tired, overworked, but not drunk.
Yes, I know.
Last night, I waited for Jerry Haynes, and I shot him.
He's alive. I was at the hospital. They're taking him off the critical list this afternoon.
But I shot him. I have always based my life on laws, ethics. How could I have come to do such an awful thing?
Tell me what you remember. What happened?
Well, I remember after you left, I lay in bed waiting for the sedative to take effect. Waiting. And I remember that sometime during the night, was it a minute later, an hour, I don't know. But I do know I went to a drawer, took out a gun that I've kept for 20 years without using, and I walked, and I found myself in the garage of Haynes' apartment house with that gun, knowing that I would never be able to fire it, that I could never do such a cowardly thing. Then he stepped from his car, and I aimed the gun at him, knowing all the time that I could never pull the trigger. I was like another person, watching myself, waiting for this terrible thing to happen, still knowing all the time that I would never be able to do it. I couldn't. And then suddenly I was pulling the trigger. Again. Pulling the trigger, emptying my gun, and knowing all the time that I couldn't do such an awful thing. How could I have done this terrible, terrible thing? Paul, please, help me.
Hello. Yeah. Tell Lieutenant Decker I'll be right there. The police want me back at the hospital. But I want you to promise me something, that you'll stay here and get some sleep. Nothing will change in the next few hours.
Yes, I guess you're right. And I am so tired. But please, Paul, I want you to do something for me.
We'll talk about it when I get back.
No, I know what I have to do. Nothing is going to change in the next few hours. Please tell the police that I'm here in your room getting a few hours sleep, and then I'll be down at headquarters and give a full statement.
Glad you got here so fast. Still won't make any statements until after he talks to you.
Good morning, Paul. Glad you could make it. Aren't you even going to ask me how I'm feeling? I'll tell you anyway, I'm feeling fine. Just fine. The bullets are all out, and I'll be back in the air just as good as new before the week is over.
You wanted to talk to me?
Yes, Paul. Very much. You don't mind waiting outside, do you, Lieutenant? I'd like to keep our little talk private. You know, all the family.
Felony's been committed. There's nothing private about any of this anymore.
Yes, I know. We'd all like to get it cleared up as quickly as possible, wouldn't we? After you let us have our private little chat, I'll be more than happy to cooperate with you. Thanks.
Dr. Graham.
You got any idea why I insisted on speaking to you first? I'll tell you why. I want to see the look on your face when I tell you how it really is. You know who was using me for target practice last night? The good gray judge, that's who. Your sainted knight of the courtroom, hiding in the shadows in the middle of the night like some punk with a switchblade knife. How's that grab you?
What else did you want to say?
Don't you understand? I'm telling it to you like it is. I saw him as clearly as I'm looking at you right now. Old Judge Rummy. But I'm not going to turn him over to the police. I'm going to let him off. I'll look at all the pictures in the mug books and tell him I can't remember a thing. But I wanted you to know how it really is. All you holier-than-thou guys downgrading everybody all their lives. Now you know how wrong you are. How wrong you've always been. I told you I'm going to let him off. I'm not going to send him to the can.
So that's how you live with it, huh, Jerry? Make the big gesture and wipe it clean off your conscience. Now I'm supposed to think I was wrong about you all the time, that you're really big-time Jerry Haynes?
Well, you missed. You don't get off the hook that easy. You still add up to zero, and your phony gesture doesn't even get you any brownie points. In a few hours, Judge Wilson's going down to police headquarters, and he's going to tell it like it is.
Well, that's pretty stupid, isn't it? I told you I'm going to keep my mouth shut.
Well, I don't think that's a deal he'd appreciate. He knows what he's done. He knows he's going to have to stand trial. And now I'm going to give you a little legal lesson. The best defense in a trial is to attack. Judge Wilson's going to be on trial, but so are you. The real you. It'll all be in the legal record now, the way you tell it like it is. The kind of liar you are, the worst kind, a public liar.
And when it's over, I don't think anybody's gonna buy a Jerry Haynes at any price.
So I think you'd better start looking for a rock to crawl under. I'm gonna let that pass. You got enough trouble.
What was he so hard to tell you?
Everybody's got him wrong. He's really a very nice guy.
Duty intern, please report to the third floor desk.
Look, Lieutenant, Judge Wilson is asleep in my hotel room. He wanted me to give you a message. He'll be downtown in an hour or so to tell you he shot Haynes.
You're gonna represent him?
Yeah. And I want to make sure it goes to trial, so our official plea is going to be not guilty.
Dr. Ludmer?
And I can get Haynes on the stand.
Ludmer?
Where you going?
See you, Jerry.
Where you going?
I thought you knew. I only play on winning teams.
Get out of here, you over-the-hill kink. Who needs you anyway? And don't come slobbering around for references either, unless you want me to tell the truth about you. I said get out of here, you low-rent broad. Hey, Lieutenant! You want a statement? I'll tell you everything you want to know. Just like it is. And all those creeps out there are going to get the truth. You want the truth? I'll tell it to you.
I think the loser's trying to say that he wants to make a statement.
Dr. Michaels, Dr. Ludmer, please report to Ward C.
I knew you were going to be fun to have around.
Come on in here, Lieutenant. What told you? You were so hot to get a statement. Come on, get it. I'll tell you everything. That's right, Lieutenant. Everything. I'm going to do your detective work for you.
Now that he's ready to talk, how am I ever going to turn him off?
You want to know who shot me, Lieutenant? It was Judge Wilson, that's who.
Dr. Michaels, please report to Ward C.
I saw him, clearly. I saw him point the gun, pull the trigger, and blast me. How's that grab you, huh?
Intern, please report to the third floor desk.
Phony. Sanctimonious. In pursuit of justice, old Judge Remy Wilson. He tried to murder me. There's your statement. Now you go on and pick him up.